In this video I'm going to show you how to make the half or triangle motif for the 212 granny square. So I've used this motif for my fruitful granny square sweater. I've used it for the neck shaping, and because I made the sweater on the bias, I've also used these half motifs to straighten out the hems and the cuffs of the sleeves. So for this particular pattern motif, I'm using a 3mm hook and a 4-ply or fingering weight sock yarn. You can use whichever kind of yarn you like, whatever thickness, just use a corresponding hook size, and bear in mind that the motif you get will vary in size, i.e. be bigger if you use a bigger hook and thicker yarn. So please do have a look at my website. There's a link in the comments below, because this pattern, there's also a written pattern and a chart, and as with all my videos, this is really designed to be complementary to the pattern on my website rather than a standalone kind of thing. So we're going to start with colour A, and we're going to start with a slip knot loop on our hook. Then we're going to chain 4 and join to form a ring. Now we're going to chain 3, and this will count as our first double crochet. Next up, 2 double crochets into the ring. Now we're going to do a chain 2 for the corner, and then 2 more double crochets, 3 more actually, 3 more double crochets into the ring. So this is what your work should look like at the end of round 1. You've got 3 double crochets, remembering that that chain 3 counts as your first double crochet, you chain 2 and then another 3 double crochet. So don't break up off the yarn yet, because remember this is a 212 granny square, so it's 2 rows in colour A. Let's start round 2. Chain 3 and turn the work. So this is where this motif is slightly different to the full motif, because we're working front and back rather than in the round. So once you've turned your work, you're going to put 2 double crochets into the first stitch, which was the last double crochet of the previous round. So put 2 into there. Now you're going to make a corner to the one of the corners of the triangle, and to do that you're going to put 3 double crochets into the next chain 2 space, or the only chain 2 space, chain 2 and put another 3 double crochets into that same chain 2 space. So in that chain 2 space you've got 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Now you're going to put 3 double crochets into the last stitch of the round, and that is actually the third chain of the beginning chain 3 from the previous round. So sometimes you need to turn the work over just to work out exactly where that is. So we know that's definitely a stitch, that's definitely a stitch, so that's 1, 2, the third one along, which is your chain 3 of your beginning chain 3. So make sure you go through both loops of the chain, treating it just like a proper stitch, and the third part of the chain is at the back there. You can't actually see it, but as long as you're catching those 2 bits of the chain. So I've put 1 double crochet in there, and going to put 2. I'm going to put 3. So let's have a little look at the end of this round. So don't worry if it all looks a little bit wonky. As long as you've got the right stitch count, it all sorts itself out once you've joined the pieces together. So we've got 3 double crochets here, one of which is the chain 3. Then we've got 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and then 3 double crochet in the last stitch. And this time we're going to fasten off the yarn and then pull through that tail end to fasten off. So for round 3, we're going to turn the work so that we're working onto the wrong side of the previous round. Then we're going to join the next colour, colour B, into the first stitch of the round. So you can join the yarn however you like. I'm going to join it the way I always do it, which is just holding a tail end at the back and pulling up a loop and then doing the first stitch, which is a chain 3 to represent a double crochet, and then I just sew that end in later on. In that same stitch I'm going to put 2 double crochets, and then in the same way as with the full granny, I'm now going to put 3 double crochets, a cluster of 3 double crochets in the space between the previous 2 clusters. So let's put 3 in there. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. In the corner, same as with the squares, we're going to put 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochet, all in that same chain 2 space. Now we are going to put another 3 double crochets, a 3 double crochet cluster between these 2 sets at the end of the row. So just going in the space between them. There's 3 there, and now we're doing 3 double crochet into the last stitch of the round, previous round, which is actually the chain 3, beginning chain 3. So we're going to work backwards again. That's a proper stitch, that's a proper stitch. This one here, quite small, I did it a bit tight. That is our, whoops, make sure I go through both parts of the chain. This is always a bit tricky even when you're experienced. So I'm in that third chain of the chain 3, and I'm going to put 3 double crochets into there. And I'm going to fasten off because we're only doing 1 row in this colour. So let's have a little look what it looks like at the end of round 3. You should have 1, 2, 3 sets of 3 double crochet, chain 2 space, and then 1, 2, 3 sets of 3 double crochet. Now let's do rows 4 and 5. So again, I'm going to turn the work round to the wrong side of the previous row, and I'm going to attach colour C into the first stitch of that row. I'm going to chain 3, and that counts as my first stitch. Put 2 double crochet into that very same stitch, and again in a traditional granny style we're going to put 3 double crochet or a double crochet cluster in between each of the clusters from the previous row. I put 1 in there, 2, 3 in between the next set. 1, 2, 3. In the corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and then 2 more sets of 3 double crochet between these sets of clusters. Oop. Nearly lost that. And again in the last stitch, which is actually the chain 3, third chain at the beginning, chain 3 from the previous row, I'm going to put 3 double crochet. So working backwards, this is a proper stitch. That's 1, that's 2 stitches, the third stitch is the chain. Make sure you work through both loops. 1, 2, 3. Let's have a little look at that. So it's looking a bit scruffy because I haven't sewn my ends in, but as I said, I will be sewing those in when I put the final border on, because it's easier to disguise those ends when you've got something to work them into. So at the end of round 4 you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 3 double crochet, chain 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 3 double crochet on the other side. So for round 5 we are sticking with this colour C, so you don't need to cut it off. Round 5, start off with a chain 3 and again turn your work. Put 2 double crochet into the first stitch, which is the last stitch of the previous round. So that you've got a total of 3, counting that chain 3 starting chain as a stitch. And again we're going to put a set of double crochet clusters between each of the clusters from the previous round. So we're going to put 3 double crochets in there, 3 double crochets there, and 3 double crochets there. And in the corner, same as the previous rounds, or rows rather, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Another 3 sets of 3 double crochet along this edge, each set between the clusters from the previous row. And we're going to put the final set in the last stitch, which is the chain 3, third chain of the chain 3 from the previous round. So that's 1 double crochet, that's 2 double crochet, and that is the chain 3 that's counting. Oops, I actually forgot to yarn over as the first stitch. That's 1, that's 2, and that is 3. Let's fasten off. just pull it into shape a bit. As I said, once you've sewn it in or incorporated it in with some other motifs, it sort of pulls everything into shape. So let's just have a quick look at this just to make sure we've done it correctly. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of 3 double crochet on this side. We've got a chain 2 space, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of 3 double crochet on that side. So here's my fruitful sweater. I've called it fruitful because the yarn I've used is from Fruitful Fusion, hand dyed yarn, beautifully dyed by Ishrat. I've made this granny square sweater on the bias as mentioned before, and I've used these half motifs to fill in the spaces for the cuffs. I have also used the half motifs to fill in, to shape the neck area. Don't know if you can actually see that I'm working in a very limited space here. So where the squares were on a bias, it's kind of formed a v-neck, and because I didn't want a v-neck, and I filled in the space with one of the half motifs. And the same with the hem. To get the nice straight hem, I've used these half motifs all along the edge. Don't forget, I also have a video and written instructions for the full motif. This sweater is part of my design and make your own granny square sweater course, which you can find out more information about on my website. Please remember to like and subscribe and sign up for notifications so you don't miss out on any of my new videos for patterns, tips and tutorials. Thanks for watching.